Hey, my name is Ellen, and today let's learn how to play the live version of Something in the Way by Nirvana on the guitar. Here's a quick overview of everything I'll be covering in this tutorial today, and with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So before we jump into the chords, I wanted to talk a little bit about the tuning of your guitar. I promise that's probably one of the hardest things about learning this song is just making sure that the tuning of your guitar is in the correct tuning before you begin learning it. So basically you want your guitar to be in a half step down tuning with a drop D tuning. So when all is said and done, your guitar strings should be D flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B flat, and E flat. All right? If you don't know how to do either of those tunings, I did make a quick video of how to tune your guitar a half step down, the easiest way to do that, so I'll link that right here. And then basically once it's a half step down, all you want to do is take your low E string and make sure it's a D flat instead of an E flat. So you want to tune it one whole step down. So the way you can do that by ear is, your third string from the top here is a D flat, or it should be after you do a half step down. So if you have a good enough ear, you can just make sure your low E string also matches, but it's just an octave lower. All right, so can you tell that those are the same note? All right, if you can't do it by ear, then you can also find like Google guitar tuners online, or if you have like a chromatic clip-on tuner that tells you what note you're playing, you can just look for a D flat as well. But basically, once your guitar is in half step down and drop D tuning, then we can go ahead and talk about the chords. All right, guys, so you only need to know 2 different chord shapes to play through this song, and the first one is going to be our F5, which I would recommend playing like this. And it'll sound like this. And then make sure that you're not playing those bottom 3 strings. And then the other chord you need to know is our D flat 5 chord, which I would recommend playing like this. And it's going to sound like this. And really quick, I wanted to take an extra few minutes on the chord section just to show you guys how you can mute those strings. So on our F5 chord, I would recommend using your middle ring and pinky finger, because when you're playing through it, you don't want to, sound those bottom 3 strings. So what I like to do is mute them by kind of laying my fingers a little more flat. And so when they're flat like that, you're going to actually be muting the bottom strings. So you can hear there that they're not actually making any tones, but the top 3 will still be sounded. Do you see how the bottom 3 are muted? Because I'm using basically my pinky, ring, and middle finger. They're all barely touching those bottom 3 strings at some point on my finger, and that's what's muting, or causing that muting. So the reason we want to mute those bottom 3 like that is so that when we're strumming, you don't have to concentrate so much on just strumming the top 3 strings. You can actually just strum all of them and make sure, because you're muting the bottom 3, it won't sound anyway. So I'm actually strumming all 6 strings there, but you can only hear the bottom 3. All right? And then the same thing with that D flat 5. The reason I like to use my pointer finger there is because if you use that, you can actually use the rest of your pointer finger, like this part of it, to mute the bottom 2 strings in the same way by barely touching them. And it'll mute them like that. So you can still strum all the strings, and then the bottom 2 are muted. So when you strum it, you won't actually hear those strings. And another reason why I like to make sure that I fret these chords this way is because when I go through the chorus and I'm strumming with both of these chords, I'll actually just keep my pointer finger down for that D flat 5, and then just use my other 3 fingers to reach across to do the F5. So it's just a really easy transition that way. Of course, if that's an uncomfortable stretch for you, you could always just do them separately like that. I do find that to be a little bit more time consuming. So if you can make that stretch, I think it's an easier way to fret these 2 chords. But anyways, the important thing is to make sure that these 3 notes are covered for your F5, and that these 4 notes are covered for your D flat 5. So So before we move on, just pause the video and make sure that you have these chord shapes memorized and that you can transition back and forth between them. The beautiful thing about this song is that it is only these two chords, so once you can transition between them pretty easily, then the rest of it should be pretty cake. So once you have those chords memorized, let's go ahead and talk about the strumming pattern. Alright guys, so the strumming for this song is fairly basic, so I'm going to go ahead and show you a really basic way to do the strumming pattern, but I am also going to give you two options of different ways you can add into this basic pattern to kind of dress it up a little bit as well. So let's go ahead and zoom in and talk about this strumming rhythm. Alright guys, so we are going to count this strumming pattern in an 8th note rhythm, so if you don't know what that means or how to count that, make sure to check out my free beginner course because we do cover that there. But basically this pattern is going to sound like this. We have 1, 3, 4, and 1, 3, 4, and down, 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 up, down, 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 up. Alright, that's the most simple way you can play this, and what you would want to do is play this pattern one time through per chord. So you want to do it one time on your F5, down, 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 up, then you would switch over to your D flat 5, down, 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 up. Alright, and you would just go back and forth between the two. Down, 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 up, down, 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 up. One time through the strumming pattern for each chord. Also use it for the chorus. Something in the way. Alright, so you could apply this strumming pattern for the whole song and it would sound pretty great. But let's go ahead and talk about the first moderation to the strumming pattern that's not that much harder. I'm going to add an extra up strum after the 3rd beat, and so that makes this pattern now sound more like this. 1, 3 and 4 and 1, 3 and 4 and down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. And again, you would just apply this one time through for each chord. So on our F5, we have down, down, up to D flat 5, down, down, up, back and forth just like earlier. And you could use this for the whole song. Just repeat it back and forth between these two chords. And it sounds good with the verses and the choruses. So let me go ahead and show you both. Underneath the bridge, tar pass sprung a leak. Alright, and then in the chorus, something in the way. Alright, and then the last little moderation you can do here is I'm going to add another up strum, this time before that 3rd beat. So now we have down, up, okay? So the rhythm's going to sound like this. 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Again, one time through for each chord, and you could play through the whole song. F5, D flat, 5. Back and forth, just like this for the whole song. Underneath the bridge, tar pass sprung a leak. For the chorus as well. Something in the way. Alright. So all of these strumming patterns are just really basic ways that you could strum through this song. If you watch him perform it live, he does kind of change it up as he's playing. So if you like all 3 of these, you could definitely incorporate, different strummings. So, just whatever you're feeling, as long as it's got that kind of 8th note rhythm to it. You could add in as many down or up strums as you wanted, as long as you're following that 8th note rhythm. So really feel free with the strumming to experiment, but these are 3 basic ways that you could strum through this whole song. However, I would recommend that the strumming be used in the chorus the way he played it live. For the verses, he does more of like a picking, like tab. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that. And really quick before we jump into the rest of the video, I wanted to take a second to just kind of sponsor myself. You know, if you are enjoying this video, please make sure to give me a thumbs up down below, as well as subscribe to my channel. And if you are struggling with anything that I've taught in this tutorial or any of the other hundreds of tutorials I have on my channel, you can always check out my Patreon page where you can send me videos of whatever you're practicing, ask me any questions that you have, and I will send you a video response back. That's just one of the perks that I offer through my Patreon page. So I will link everything down below in the description box as well as in this iCard. So if you're interested, it's a great way to support my channel so that I can continue making videos like this one while also getting a lot of perks for helping you learn your guitar faster. So I hope you'll check that out, and yeah, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that picking. Alright, so if you're new to picking individual strings when you're playing guitar, this is the perfect song to start with because it's so super simple. So let's go ahead and zoom in so I can show you this tab. Alright, so first of all, if you don't know how to read guitar tabs, I did make a pretty fun video right here, so I'll make sure to link that. So watch that first until you get the basics of how to read tabs. But after you do that, we can go ahead and talk about this one. It's super simple. All you want to do is, I like to use my middle and my ring finger on my low E and A string, okay, on the 4th fret here for both. And all you want to do is go alternate back and forth. We're going to pick our low E string and then our A string. All right? So you're going to go. If you're at all familiar with this song, this, you know, should sound pretty familiar. That's the whole F5, you know, picking tab. And then all you want to do now is take those fingers off, and then you're going to have open strings, okay? And then it's the same pattern. All right, so even though I'm calling these the E and the A string, we all know that it's the D flat and the A flat string, okay? But basically, I like to use these two fingers. You could use these two. You could, you know, bar it if you wanted to, whatever you feel comfortable with. I like to do this so we have, and then let go. And then you just do that back and forth, alternating those chords for the entire song. So we have F5, D flat 5, F5, D flat 5. And it's as simple as that. Now, for my right hand with my pick, I am picking each of these strings down, like with a down pick. If you think it's easier, you could also do a down pick and then an up pick on that A flat string. Okay, down, up, down, up, down. Or you could do down, 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 down. I find it easier that way, but you know, experiment with, you know, your guitar and how you feel comfortable playing it. But that is the entire picking tab, and you can do that for all of the verses. So this is what it sounds like all together. Underneath the bridge, tarp has sprung a leak, and the animals I've trapped have all become my pets, and I'm living off of grass and the drippings from my ceiling. It's okay to eat fish, 'cause they don't have any feelings. Alright, and then right there is when I would go back into that strumming pattern for the chorus. Something in the way. Alright, and you could basically just finish out the song with the strumming through the chorus. But yeah, that's the easiest way that I found to play this song. I think if you are a newbie to guitar, you could totally tackle this once you have that tuning of your guitar in place. So once you get the picking and that strumming down, then we can play through the song. 1, 2, ready, go. Underneath the bridge, tarp has sprung a leak, and the animals I've trapped have all become my pets, and I'm... Want to have fun jamming through the rest of this song with me? Then make sure to check out my Patreon page where you can unlock access to this as well as all my other fast track and play along guitar tutorials. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description box down below. If you enjoyed learning this song with me, then you should definitely check out this video. Not only does it have a really similar vibe, but it's also just as easy to play, so I'll see you over there. Bye!